What's going on, guys? Danny here, bringing you, yes, I can finally say it, my 30-0 custom tactics. We finally hit 30-0 this weekend. Well, the fact that we just hit top 200 was good enough, but we did it with a 30-0. Obviously, we're playing on PlayStation this year, so it is very hard to probably achieve the top 200 on a consistent basis because you constantly need like a 29 with good skill rating or a 30-0. And as I said, did hit it this weekend. But before I show you my guys, my custom tactics, my team, what I was using and so on, don't forget to subscribe if you are new around here. The aim is to try and get to 5k by the end of the year. It's obviously going to be very tough, but we'll see how it goes. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment of your weekend league record. So but let's get into the reason why you guys have clicked the video and did indeed hit the 30. Now I think we are like 73rd in the world, I think was the final finish. This is the team I'm using, and okay, with a team like this, I should be hitting 30-0. I wouldn't say on a consistent basis because a lot of people don't understand that playing 60 games, so I play a second account as well, it's very draining on you and it's very easy to lose concentration and, lose. And even when you only play 30 games, it's so easy to lose that concentration and, not bothered. But I obviously do have a crazy advantage with this team. But to give you a heads up of how good these custom tactics are and actually a bit of acknowledgement, hopefully my editor pops up my Road to Glory team up on the screen now. This is actually the team I used on my Road to Glory account. This has took me 1 week of playing Foot Champs and we hit 28-2 on this weekend with it, and we probably could have easily hit a 29 if I've been totally honest, maybe even a 30 low-key, like, all depends with your matchmaking. So yeah, just because obviously I've got this god team, obviously some tactics might work better than others, but just to show you that it does work with a cheaper team. I think that team's worth about 700k in total, so I think, or maybe less, I think I tried to work it out. It might be actually less than 700k, but maybe like 600, 500, I'm not too sure. So just to prove to you guys, even though this is a pay-to-win team, it does work on another team as well. So you have the highlights coming out this week, the rewards coming out this week, so keep an eye out on the channel for that, and a load more content coming for you guys. Actually, I think highlights would have been out by the time this is uploaded, but let's get into these custom tactics to stop the waffling, and let's get into it. So as you see, all this balance is just standard. You don't need to change it. It's just obviously if you use the default formation, how your team set up. We obviously use the instructions and the tactics what you can use with the defensive, ultra defensive attacking and ultra attacking. I'm going to surprise a few of you. My favourite formation this week, actually, before we get into this, right, I need to say something. Just so you know, these tactics are still in work in progress. Literally every 4 or 5 games I was changing them still consistently. Like when I pressed LT earlier to see what actually tactics I had set up, it surprised me because I didn't even know I had half of these set up. But I'll show you what my main formation is and my main tactics in a bit. I'll probably leave that to last. There's a formation change with my playstyle. But talking about formation styles, we've got the 4-4-2 flat version here. This is just, as I said, like I'm just experimenting at the moment. I'm using the 4-4-2 basic, 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2 second variation, just trying to change it up here and there. I see a lot of the French pros use 4 width and 4 depth, so I wanted to see how that plays in game, and that is quite nice, especially when people are coming through the middle. It makes your team very compact and easy for that AI block of opportunities for yourself. But you are very exposed on the wing, so obviously there is some downfalls to it, of course. So keep that in consideration. I think most of the time I've been just playing 5-5 though on all the other tactics. Offensive style is balanced, width 5, players in the box 5. As I said in my previous tactic videos, I'm trying to keep everything basic this year and just make sure I'm changing things when I need to change it rather than changing it and just hoping that is the solution when actually I need to analyse what my gameplay is to get the most out of these tactics. Going to the instructions, we've got stay back while attacking on the right back and left back, nothing on the keeper. Right mid and left mid is come back on defense on both of them. Something I was experimenting with was get cut inside and getting behind, but I felt like a lot of times my players were on top of each other too much, especially around the edge of the box, so I had to change that out. Stay back while attacking and stay on edge on boxes for crosses and cover centre on both of the centre mids. This is, with centre mids and 4-4-2, they still attack quite often. That's just a natural position of the centre mid. So I put a stay back while attacking that's down at the edge of the boxes crosses because I don't really actually want them giving me numbers in the box. That doesn't say because I've got this on they don't actually make them runs. I know a lot of times Hooded was still making that run, so keep that into consideration. It was just more so when I'm going down the wing, when I cut back into like I need an option backwards basically. My CDM / centre mids were always there, and then on my strikers I've just got balance, keep it default, keep it basic, get a bit of everything really when it comes to them. That is the basic 4-4-2 tactic, but as I said, with these tactics, I literally used all sorts of formations this weekend, but it was mainly 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, and maybe 1 or 2 games of 4-2-2, but I think that might have lasted for 20 minutes, and I wasn't a fan of that because I've been using 4-4-2 for the most of it. Let's go into my attacking style now. This is my main 4-2-3-1 formation, I would say. If I'm going to play 4-2-3-1, and what I like to do was set up in my main formation, which I'll break the news to you guys now. It is the 4-4-2 second variation. And then once I've got a 2-3 goal lead, I would change to my 4-2-3-1 just to be a little more safe in the defence's sort of department and just play that slow counter-attack sort of play. Just make sure I'm not conceding silly goals. So that was the reason I like to go into 4-2-3-1 a couple of times. Width 5, depth 4, defensive style. It's balanced, width 5, and players in the box 4. Just once again, keeping things very basic, very simple. I wouldn't go lower than 4 depth personally because the gap between your team this year when you play on a low depth between your midfield and your defenders is huge, and a lot of times, as you can even see on the screen right now, you see how then if somebody's using a 4-4-2, the 2 strikers sort of sit behind the 2 centre mids. Even with CDMs, they still sit behind them. So if you have a low depth, they're going to be getting into that space a lot more often. So keep that in mind. That's why I'm playing with a 4 or a 5 depth. But I might even try out 6 depth this week. But I haven't decided too much on it. But 4-2-3-1 is obviously one of my main formations, especially when I'm leading the game. The main reason I've changed my formation this week is because I want to create more chances in the game. I felt at pro level I was in the game, but I wasn't making enough opportunities in the final third. So I thought, let me try a different formation to try and see if the formation will help me to score or give me higher percentage chances of scoring in the attack. Because 4-2-3-1, I can defend really well within it, but I think just a natural thing, because I've used it for so many years, I play into a safe mode rather than trying to be that aggressive sometimes with it. So that is why I've used it as that. If I've got the lead type formation. But stay back while attacking on the right back and left back, we always know that is the go-to really when it comes to the right back and left backs because of how overpowered through balls are down the wings. So you want your wing backs always come at the back to help you defend them. CDMs, stay back while attacking and balance and cover centre on both. I was using cut passing a little bit this week, but I felt the positioning of the CDMs were a little bit wayward. They was sometimes missing, and I kind of didn't want that. I kind of wanted to always know where they was going to be, making sure they're not always, being on that aggressive sort of side. I sometimes want them to sit in. So balance gave me the best of that. And then on my cams, all balance, nothing changes there. You can get in the box for crosses on your right, your ram and your lamp if you really want, but I just trigger the runs manually. When I'm trying to get that back post cross and then getting behind on the CR7. And I think getting behind is actually quite decent this year because of how overpowered these through balls are. If you notice if you trigger the run, or the run actually happens with your striker and somebody tries to mark it with their centre back, because how unrewarding the game is, if you play that through ball, it will just skim straight past the player. So, and then you're through one-on-one with the goal. So keep that in mind. Something to look out for maybe in my highlights coming up this week, where you guys will probably see. If you haven't seen my highlights, it would have came out yesterday. Because I think this is out on the Wednesday. Highlights is out on the Tuesday. Let's get into the formation if it's a very tight game and I'm nervous as hell and 5 minutes is to go. So balance 5-5, balance 5 and 4. So basically this is my 4-2-3-1 formation, what you just seen in the attacking, but just making sure I'm safer defensively. And the only there's 2 differences. The only differences are the changes on the cams. I've got them all on comeback on defense. This is if I'm like in a tight game and I need to make sure I'm holding up the lead. But as you can see, stay back while attacking on the right back and left back, stay back while attacking cover centre on the CDMs, come back on defence on the cams, and get in the box for crosses. The reason there's getting box for crosses for this one is because when you have come back on defence, your Ram and Lamb just obviously will sit in a lot deeper because they're helping out in the defence more. So having get in the box for crosses just naturally makes them be a little bit more aggressive in the attack. So little things like that are something you need to consider. And then we've got balance on the striker, because you don't want him to always be running in behind when you're trying to hold the game. But it was very rare I was going to this one. I was just using the normal attacking one because I didn't really have any games where it was too scary. But the main tactic, the main one indeed, is my favourite formation from this week. This is the one what I used basically out of my 60 games. I would say about 54 of them it was used, or it probably at some point went on in 60 of them, to be honest with you. But there were some games, obviously, I was just using the basic 4-4-2 or the 4-2-3-1. It really I just sort of, whatever I felt like playing really when I went into the game was what I was using. But defensive style, balance, width 5, depth 5, balance. Offensive style, 5 width, 4 players in the box. I think that might be my go-to this year, the 5-on-4. I think it's just very, it just feels, it makes sense when I'm attacking, when I'm using it. So I think that's the main reason I'm probably going to go with it. But I am going to try some other stuff, so don't get that twisted. So these tactics might change, so keep that in mind. But right now I won't change them because obviously it's not broken. But yeah, this is the 4-4-2 second variation with the 2 CDMs. The difference with this is obviously you've got CDMs compared to your centre mids, and I felt sometimes when I was using the 4-4-2 basic one, I was struggling to defend a lot of times because I didn't have that CDMs. Because as I said, I've played 4-2-3-1 for about 3 years now, since FIFA 18. So I'm just so used to having CDMs there. When I had centre mids, I just felt like the gap was just too big, so I thought I'd put CDMs in. But there's something what I've done with my CDMs to make sure I'm still getting that feel of the 4-4-2 basic version with your midfielders. But stay back while attacking on the right back and left back, just keeping it basic. Stay back while attacking and cover centre on one of the CDMs. This is going to be your more defensive player, the guy who you want to always be at the back and helping you. Keep in mind though, this guy does help a lot in the attack, especially if you're playing at a slower pace. So you do want them to be able to use their feet attacking wise, not just defensively. But yeah, stay back while attacking on this one. And then the other one, you're more attacking CDM, have them on balance because you want them to be helping you out in the attack, doing them driving runs through the middle, just giving you an extra option when you're around the edge of the box and holding up. And I'll show you quickly Hoodit stats. Obviously I won't have Talisca stats here because I'm on the other account, but in 75 games, this is obviously rivals and foot chance. He's got 12 goals, 38 assists. From a CDM, that's a very, very good return because most of my chances come through my wingers or my strikers. But yeah, that is why I've got the balance on one of my CDMs to obviously help me out in attack. But also takes up the natural position of a CDM when in defensive duties. On the left mid and the right mid, we got come back on defense, nothing else on them. We want them to obviously be helping at the back, but also giving us an option going forward. And that's what the right mid and left mid does. They're technically like right wing and left wing, but their position is a lot better for me because I feel like right wing and left wings, they get lost because they're too high up. With right mid and left mid, they're just obviously a little bit deeper and giving you nice options. As I said, I use cut inside and getting behind quite a bit actually, especially in the warm-ups this week against other pro players and rivals. That was my main thing, but I think I'm moving away from it and just using come back on defense and just triggering the runs manually if I want them to run in behind or come close to me. And then on the 2 strikers, we've got one on getting behind, and this is your more nippy player, your faster player, the guy who you want to be doing them runs behind the defense. And then your other player, I've got CR7. This is your sort of target man-esque. A lot of last year I used target man on my attacking runs, but this year I'm not really a fan of it. I feel like they drop in too deep sometimes. So I've gone balance because then you always have him as an option. He's not always running behind you. If you do want him to run behind, you can just trigger him. And then obviously you've got Pele playing off him. That's what people do in real life. They have that tool striker. For example, we'll go with Red Bull Leipzig last year. They're Poulsen and then Werner. Werner was that guy who was running in behind, and then Poulsen was the guy who they was using as a target man S type player. So that is why I'm sort of using that sort of style. But yeah, these are my custom tactics, what helps me achieve 30-0 and 28-2 on my Road to Glory. As I said, this works on my main team and also my Road to Glory team. So just give them a try. I would say try this 4-4-2 if you are struggling to attack. So I think the game's quite defensive at times, but 4-4-2 definitely helped me attack against these people who were having a lot of people behind the ball. But yeah, don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe, and peace.
We'll be right back.